Good evening and welcome to Daily Politics and Trust TV, your destination for deep dives into power, policy and governance. I'm Shafiu Suleiman. Tonight, we turn the spotlight on two critical national conversations shaping Nigeria's political and economic future. First, the urgent need for electoral reform, with the 2027 general elections on the horizon. Calls for constitutional amendments to strengthen Nigeria's electoral process are growing louder. INEC says it is pushing 8 key reforms in collaboration with the National Assembly. But skepticism remains over whether these changes can close long-standing gaps that have undermined past elections. On the economic front, we will examine the NNPCL's renewed push to resume oil drilling in the Kolmani Basin, a multi-billion naira project that has long been seen as a game changer for the North's economy. Concerns had mounted that the project was quietly shelved, but the new NNPCL CEO recent assurance has revived hope for both the Kolmani oil blocks and the AKK gas pipeline. Now, to help us break down the issues, we're joined live by an energy and crude oil expert, Engineer Yabagi Sani. He joins us virtually from Abuja. We get to introduce him as soon as he joined the conversation. Okay, Engineer, good to have you on the platform.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, viewers.
Right. I know you are very much passionate about developments in the oil and gas sector, especially this issue around oil exploration. What do you make up with this recent, reassurance, if I should put it that way, of the NNPCL that it is resuming oil drilling in the Kolmani oil prospect in, somewhere in Bauchi, Gombe axis? After a long while, there has been there's such a concern around whether this project has been shelved by the current administration.
Well, Shafiu, like you know, the issue of oil exploration in the north, it has been politicized, beyond one's imagination, and it is like the people in the oil and gas sector have made it conduit for siphoning Nigerians' wealth. If you remember, like Chad, exploration, for a long time, billions of naira were sunk into that project. End of the day, nothing came out of it. We had, that we have about 5 petroleum inland basins in the north that are of commercial, value to the country. And totally in the country, we have about 8 petroleum inland basins. 3 are in the south, 5 are in the north. The 3 in the south are Niger Delta, the prolific Niger Delta, and you have the Dahomey Basin, which is in the Lagos axis, and you also have the Anambra Basin, which is which borders with Kogi. And then also in the south, the 3 basins in the south, most of them are producing, if not all of them. But the ones in the north, none of them today is producing, in spite of the efforts made by the past governments, including the immediate past government, Buhari administration. In the north, you have the Bida Basin, which I was very, much involved in its initial studies and things like that. It was confirmed also as of commercial quantity, and especially when you look at gas today. Then we have Sokoto Basin. Also, a lot of work has gone into it. Nothing has come out of it. And then you have Lake Chad. And now we're talking about this Kolmani, the one in Bauchi axis that, and then you have Benue Trough. So you wonder, all these basins in the north, why is it that? And then at the border with us, you have Niger, who have managed to make their own basin to work. That is Lake Chad. And here in Nigeria, we have been spending so much money, lip service to the issue, and nothing has come out of it. So that's why I say it's been highly politicized. The issue of exploration of petroleum products. I mean, of the crude oil and gas from the northern part of the country.
Yeah, engineer.
What bothers one is that Buhari was there for 8 years. You wonder, why didn't we utilize that opportunity, to ensure that at least one of these basins will become productive and we will be able to capitalize on the benefits that are associated with any state that produces crude oil and gas. So the boss of NNPCL today is saying that he is going to resume exploration. This is not the first time we're hearing that. Successive governments have promised Nigerians, particularly the northerners, that they are going to do this, but nothing comes out of it. Then the question you ask yourself is that what are the 19 state governors in the north doing? Why can't they step up to the plate and then put? I mean, there was a time I was in charge of an effort by Niger State, to ensure that Bida Basin becomes productive, that we're able to exploit it. And we went very far. At that time, I headed the establishment of what we call the inland basins of the north, and we were able to meet. We brought together the commissioners that are in charge of environmental and whatever in some of these 19 states. We came together and said that if we can get the governors of the north to at least put 2% of their budget, together, we'll be able to make one of these basins, because when money is on the table, the international community will be interested in also bringing in their money to invest, But the federal government has been filibustering. They've been playing politics with this, either because we don't have enough of our people in the industry, or they themselves have been confused by the kind of level, the high level of corruption that is in that set of the economy. So LMPC boss, that is BioAjulari, promising that he's going to revisit the Kolmani, exploration field, is heartwarming. But I mean, I have my doubts as to how successful it's going to be, because of the past experience, and you wonder if you could not do it under Buhari, who should have or who has experience, because he was Commissioner of Petroleum in the 70s, and when Niger Delta and all these things came to fruition. So, and you couldn't achieve that. I don't know how much we can achieve under Bola, Tinubu, administration.
So we wait and see. Engineer Yabagi Sani, to be fair to the immediate past administration, some would say there was some level of commitment, we've seen sort of investment into this sector, especially the oil exploration in the Kolmani axis. At some point, the twilight of that administration, there was also the commissioning of the oil well. I think I can't remember the tag now of that oil well, and so much was said to have been achieved, including, a prospect, oil prospect that many believe, the jubilation all over the place in Gombe and in Bauchi that oil is finally found here. But you said that nothing has been achieved. Are you quantifying this in terms of the investment put in place? Or is it that the commitment on the part of the government wasn't enough, to drive this process?
The commitment was not enough. The political will was not there sufficiently to drive the process. It has to do with the how committed nearly cannot kill a bird. That we have done nearly. There is now evidence of some. Like I told you, Bida Basin, I was involved. We took our samples to Germany. It was analyzed. They said, and NNPC even, I think they started, doing one or two things in the Bida Basin, that you will think something will happen. And then all of a sudden, it just went, everything will go quiet, like in the case of Komani. So we are watching what Bayajilari will do with now that he has promised, that he's going to revisit it and they will see results. I want to see the crude oil coming out. Like we have a refinery in the north, which is Kaduna refinery. If we can bring out crude oil from any of these basins, the 5 basins I've talked about, we all we need to do is retool your refinery so that it can process that refinery that is within the immediate neighborhood of the refinery to serve as a feedstock. But here we are. Our northern governors, I'll go back to that again. If they step up to the plate to make at least one of those wells to work, it will not be where we won't be where we are today. Let me give you an example of what happened in Anambra Basin. Anambra Basin, I was involved to the extent because I was invited to Anambra when they were launching refinery, the Oriental refinery or something like that. They wanted to start producing. It was Chief Ayoku, who was the former Chief Ayoku, of course we know, and then the late former vice president, Alex Ekweme. The two gentlemen came together and made sure that Anambra Basin became a reality, at least to an extent, that you have even a refinery and things like that. Why can't our businessmen? I also want to talk about Dangote. Dangote can also look at some of these basins and see what we can do in order to make them to become to be productive. To start producing crude oil and gas because we have a lot of gas, which is the trend today. That is the where the world is going today. And like the Bida Basin I talked about, is about 75% gas and 25%, so which means you have a promising basin that will fit into what the trend is today. The demand for gas today is overwhelming, and fortunately for us as a country, in fact, as a whole, we're a gas country. So the point I'm making is that it is not something that the North should leave only to the federal government to handle. The governors must be interested. They must show adequate interest. Our businessmen like Dangote and Boa and what have you must also show interest because that's the future. That's why if the refineries that are setting up, you have business that can give you feedstock. So if they invest heavily in it, the North will become the better for it. And you also mentioned something like AKK. That is Ajaokuta, Kaduna, Kano, pipeline. That I think the North should also be more interested in what is happening to that project. The governors in particular, because that project is the one that will turn around. Will transform the economy of the North, and we probably will be able to address the issues of insecurity, which has become an albatross on the neck of this administration or of government in this country. So I think these are the projects, the gigantic projects that you need in a country like Nigeria, so that you can now, when Bola Tinubu says he's going to invest about billions of dollars of our money or trillions of naira in the roads from Sokoto to Badagry or something like that, I would have loved him to concentrate more on finishing this AKK project, because that will boost the productive capacity of our industries in the North. It will give us, we'll be able to produce electricity from the natural gas that is being piped from the Northern Delta, through Ajaokuta to the North. And our industries, the small industries, will now be able to have cheap source of energy, and then that will translate into thousands of jobs, millions of jobs actually, for our unemployed youth and the skilled labor that we have in that part of the North. Look at the refineries. What has happened to Kaduna refinery? These are projects. These are microeconomic projects that if the northern governors, the federal government, come together to at least make one of them to be functional. I'm talking about the exploration of the 5 inland basins we have in the North. I'm talking about the Kaduna refinery. I'm talking about AKK, project. That is the piping of the gas from the natural gas from the Niger Delta to the North, so that our industries, electricity generation, and things like that, energy security we're talking about, and jobs will become available. So this is the area to go,
Yes,
not making noise, saying that insecurity. You have to address insecurity from the source.
yes.
And the source is lack of jobs, lack of things to do by the northern people. So this is where we should concentrate on, because you make hay while the sun shines. These things are in demand today.
Yes. Engineer, you raise quite a number of issues here. The last one you talked about, the issue of insecurity. Some say substantially has also affected, the oil exploration in these basins you are talking about, especially the Borno basin, talking about, the Boko Haram insurgency that has undermine efforts, towards that exploration, include even the Bidda Basin, and of course some axes, like the current one that is being explored, in Nasarawa State. Substantially, there has been these concerns around the security of the environment, But then looking at Kolmani, which has already, which is, already making headways, and the level of the lack of interest, so to speak, on the side of the political leaders. Where do you place the blame now? Is it, because you talk about politicization, which one takes prime place? Is it the politicization or the environmental challenges, around the exploration of these prospects?
I think the impediments, to this very, very gigantic economic project is more of politics than any other thing. Issue of insecurity, like the government is trying to see how they can protect the farmers who will go to the farms because of the insecurity by providing them, security cover like soldiers and things like that. There's nothing wrong. You can do that also with this exploration effort. If you remember, Saudi Arabia and the Houthi and all these things, Yemen, they have problems, but they are able to protect their facilities. So you have to take steps to ensure that you protect, the people that are going to work, on these very important projects for you. So insecurity cannot be something that you cannot deal with. You can deal with it. It's a matter of mobilizing the security personnel to protect the workers for the time they are going to work, because that is the beginning of the resolution of the intractable issue of insecurity that we have in the north. Provide jobs, make life easier, make people, get them engaged. If people are engaged, nobody would like to live in the bush or carry AK-47, to kill his brother. No. So this is why you must protect cover, security cover for people. Like the excuse was that in the lecture they said some people were kidnapped and then killed. They were kidnapped because you didn't protect them, and you are aware of the porous nature of the security in that area. And then Kolmani and all these things you're talking about. Provide them security, because this is a very important project that you must look at what is happening in Niger Delta. You think it's not people, they are working there. When if you have any project that you want to execute in Niger Delta, you must pay the area boys, or those boys are there. The insecurity is also there, but you take care of the insecurity by engaging them and get your job done. We can do the same thing in the north too. There's no reason why. There's no place in the world where you don't face one challenge or the other. But if you have something that is very important to you, you make room or you make arrangement to ensure that those distractions do not, take away the big picture which you want to embark upon. So this is the issue. And that's why I'm calling on the northern governors to take a look at these very, very microeconomic ventures that will spring up a lot of ancillary industries that will give our people jobs, especially the AKK. It was about $2.8 billion that was estimated. I know they took some loans from Chinese, and there are some other investors, international and domestic, that came together. Why is it that the northern governors are not involved? They have money. This budget, if you can take some percentage out of it and invest in that project and take it to fruition, it will be something that all of us will benefit from. In fact, Nigeria also benefit from it as a nation. So this is why we must have our priorities right. It's not a question of asking for state police or whatever, which is a mirage, as far as we know. So these are realities. These are economic ventures that if you embark upon, get them finished, fight the political issue. I mean, the political issues. If the governors are involved, maybe whoever is standing in between this project and the North, will have to take the back seat and allow things to happen, because it's about politics. Believe me, Shafiu, it's nothing but politics.
Okay, yes, looking at what you just said, and just recently, as you rightly pointed out, the governors were in Kaduna, meeting to talk about security, shifting the blames, wanting the government to come up with new strategies and so on, talking about state police and so on. But then, looking at the priority, these critical assets or critical areas that will transform the lives of the people and address this basic challenges, of insecurity, poverty, and the rest of it. And then coming at a time, the government, the subnational governments are also getting almost tripled, what they are getting in terms of resource allocation from the center. Do you see, negligence also on the part of the people to ask questions or to demand for accountability? Because if you're talking about resources are available to channel to these areas, of need. Talking about energy security, which will ultimately address poverty and then address the security concerns. Who is to be blamed here? Because it appears nobody is asking the right questions and nobody is asking for leadership accountability.
Yeah, I think to an extent, the governors are taking advantage of the people of the North, because, we are largely conservative. People believe that, leaders are made by God, so you can't talk to them, you don't challenge them. But that's not what God says. It's not that you cannot challenge. If a leader is not honest, not straightforward, you should challenge him. And that's why, Kisti means that it is the leaders that are truthful, that are honest, that they say you shouldn't challenge, not these ones that are stealing your money and then you see it yourself, you are seeing it, openly, and you start praying for them, clapping for them, giving them titles. So it is our own people that are killing, ourselves, killing each other by way of the way we treat these leaders, as if they are God, godly people. They are not godly people, because they said, even in the Bible, they say that when the righteous are on the throne, people rejoice. So if people are crying, and then in pains, which means the people on the throne are not righteous, and they are supposed to fight them. I'm not saying go and burn down their houses or kill them, no, but ask them questions. What have you done with our money? And I have never had, I don't know, maybe they do, the northern governors meetings that they normally have, the 19 governors, none of them has come up with anything, or AKK, for instance, that I'm aware of, or the refineries, or the issue of this business we're talking about, especially the AKK. The AKK is a project that sensible people, leaders who have passion, who have some concern for their people, will go out of their way to find a way to make it to become a reality. Because there's no reason why it shouldn't be it's going to become a reality. There you will find source of energy, which is a challenge in the North. Electricity is a challenge in the North, more than any other place, other places. So this is the source of solving that electricity problem that we have, energy source that we have in the North. It's the source of how we can provide cheap energy for our factories, industries, small-scale industries, for them to be able to produce at a cost that will be bearable, and people will be able to afford, to buy them. So this is the areas they must concentrate on to help our people. That's the point I'm making. So the blame must go to the governors. They are the leaders. Must go to traditional rulers, who also must talk to them. Must be able to reach them and say, well, we need to look at some of these projects, not state police. That will never come through, because state police, we know what they use the federal police for, which is to win elections. That's what presidents, even Buhari and all the other presidents, they use the federal police to win elections. And then you want them to now empower the opposition by giving you state police, so that when tinubu in 2027 comes up with federal police, you come out with your state police. That is a mirage. It will never happen. So don't let us, we shouldn't waste our time on that. Let's concentrate. How do we build the economy of the North? How do we empower our people? And we have projects, Shafiu, that we are talking about today, which has helped other countries, which has helped other regions. I remember when Obasanjo was in power, he ensured that all the factories in the Southwest gas pipeline was led to those industries. That's why they're able to produce at the rate they are producing. That's why industrialization in Southwest in particular is at the level it is today. Obasanjo intentionally did it. So what is wrong? Why didn't Buhari do it? If Buhari didn't do it, what about our governors? What are they doing? They should work on this, take advantage of what has been started already, and make sure it happens.
Now, yes, looking at this very, critical submissions you made, and of course the focus of the politicians or the political class, some would say there is a very big gap between the level of thinking or the level of commitment to the ideals or things that will add value to the lives of the people, looking at their own political interests. You talked about the state police. Here they are also talking about 2027, aligning and realigning forces, shifting allegiances and all of that. But to be specific, for instance, if you take two states, Kaduna, Kano, that are, targeted to be beneficiaries, substantial beneficiaries of the AKK pipeline project. Kaduna, for instance, has, an electricity power supply, power firm, 215 thermal power plant that has been in limbo over the years because it lacks, the gas component, perhaps to propel it. Again, you have the Kaduna, Kakuri industrial hub, housing quite a number of industries that have collapsed. In Sharada, you have similar projects. And then you have this corridor, this pipeline gas facility, passing across. And then beyond even the industries, even small businesses today in the northern part of the country are shutting down. In the last couple of weeks or so, there were stories around, darkness in Kaduna, Kano, and all of that. Some begin to wonder, how are these leaders thinking? What is their level of thinking in terms of adding value to the people and then taking leadership serious?
Yeah, that's there are low hanging fruits. Like the AKK pipeline. To me, it's a low hanging fruits for our leaders from the north to capitalize on. If nothing else, because this has been started. Investments have been made. What is there is politics, and the politics. I remember when they were talking about exploring bitumen in Ondo or something like that. The information I got was Obasanjo gave a marching order to those who said, don't come back to me and say there's no money. Make sure you find bitumen in commercial quantity and it's working. Don't come back and say no money. If there's no money, find money from wherever you're going to find it. That's politics. That's how government operates. When you see something that is of future importance and present importance to your people, you go out of your way as a political leader and ensure that it is done. Don't listen to all these statistics and people who come and then give you some present some PowerPoint presentations, to confuse you. Get the project executed. That's the most important thing. I'm so sad that Buhari was not able to achieve, some of these gigantic projects for the North. I don't know what he will call his legacy. When you talk about legacy, these are the legacy projects that any person in power, and this also goes to the governors, the state governors. They must step up to the plate and ensure that these things are achieved within the next 2 years. They can do it. It's a matter of getting money and then getting people to do it. It's not a rocket science thing. So Shafiu, the problem is not with our people at all. It's with the leaders. And the fact of the matter is that maybe they will meet their creator, and I don't know what they're going to tell God, because stealing our money instead of investing it in something that will help even your children and children's children, grandchildren, in future, you have denied them that opportunity by stealing the money. Go and invest it in abroad, buy stupid, houses or stupid cars and things that have no meaning. And then riding in bulletproof cars and amassing wealth that will not serve you or serve your children. So the fact of the matter is that we have an emergency in the north of poverty, how to fight poverty. And how to fight poverty, God has made available to us the resources. I said, we have, of the 8 basins we have in Nigeria, 5 are in the north. Only 3 are in the south. The 3 in the south are working. In the south, why is the Dahomey Basin, the one in the Lagos axis, working? It's because Folawiyo and the others who is from that Yoruba land, who is from there, was lead. They are the lead. They are the one that are heading the exploration of the Dahomey Basin. When you go to the Niger Delta, because the whole country had invested in Niger Delta, and we are getting crude oil since 1957 or so, on Ebury. Okay, so but the leaders from those zones do not, allow their important economic ventures like the ones we have in the north, to just go fallow, to be left, untouched. In Benue Trough, we have gas, I understand, the Texaco or something like that. They had explored. They knew they had gone to the point of production, and then they cut the gas. So why can't our governors step up to the plate? Why can't they come together and then they invite investors? Don't wait for the federal government in particular. You can do it, even if you said oil exploration or something is under the exclusive legislation of the Constitution, but a project like you mentioned, like AKK, I see no reason why it shouldn't be producing by now. It shouldn't have come to fruition by now. I understand Chinese, they gave us some facilities. I don't know what has happened to that facilities. Maybe because they didn't see seriousness, maybe they called that facility about $1 billion, something like that. I don't know how much NNPC invested, of that. So these are the things that the governors must be very, very concerned about and ask pointing questions to the president. Let them go to the president. Let them go to him that we need this, that we can put our own money. They can take some percentage of their budget, I'm repeating myself, and then get this project online so that our people will be out of this abject poverty that is creating problems like insecurity and what have you, for us.
How do you think,
Shafiu, this is what, as a North, we need to do. The Dangotes, the Boas, the governors, the others who have money should come together and look into these projects. We shouldn't be building the gigantic refineries in other people's domain and then leave our own people, our own domain, in poverty. And we have the resources too. We have the crude oil. We have the refinery, which can work. So these are the realities. These are the things that we must address, Shafiu.
Right. Engineer, before we let you go, some would say we have three arms of government, beyond just the executives who implement policies. We have the legislature. What do you think the legislature can do to complement or to push for this very critical projects, especially I'm talking about legislature from the north, for instance. We have the Northern Senators Forum and all of that, forum of legislators from the northern part of the country. What are they doing in terms of oversight responsibility to checkmate, even at the point of budgeting? What are they doing to ensure that some of these projects get the necessary lifeline for them to come to fruition?
Shafiu, like I had you mention some electoral laws, whatever amendment, whatever. Today, all the legislators, they are busy defecting from one party to the other. They just want to make sure that they make Bola Ahmed Tinubu happy, so that they will be they will partake in the loot, at the end of the day, in the rigging of the elections and things like that. They are not concerned about what we are talking about, and then you can't blame them because we allow, what you call state capture, to have taken root in this country. That's why the president you have today is like an emperor. There's no institution that he cannot use to fight you, to silence whoever he wants to silence. That's why all these National Assembly members who are the national, what are they doing? They are the beck and call of Mr. President. If he wants them to jump, they say, how high you want us to jump? That's what they do. They don't question anything. They don't even care about those who voted for them. They just cross-carpet and say, by cross-carpeting is to serve the interests of our people. Your people didn't vote for you to go and cross-carpet. Why don't you go back to them and ask them, or ask to be recalled that, okay, I want to go to this party. So forget about this National Assembly thing or the judiciary or whatever. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and it's not his fault because that's the system he made. And that's why he's just been better at using them than the previous governments. That's all. Because of his long, stay in politics and things like that. He has acquired, more what do you call it? The ways of using those institutions to his own advantage. That's why you find governors, senators. Today we had about 3 senators, shamefully, declaring for that we are crossing, that they are defecting to APC. Okay, what do you expect from that senator to tell you? To go and ask Bola Tinubu to do AKK, or to do he doesn't care about that. All he cares about is to secure his elections, is the money that he's going to steal, so that he will now run election 2027. And the only way he can be declared winner, like I told you, the federal police is used to make sure that they rig the elections, and the INEC and nobody can talk. It's not the judges, it's not the legislature that you are talking about, or anybody. So that's why, forget about National Assembly. I'm talking about the local people. I'm talking about our businessmen, like Dangote, like Boa, like others like that, like the governors themselves, who have the responsibility, who have sworn, that they are going to make sure they make the life of our people better and they secure them, and they're not doing that. So I'm afraid for them. When they meet their creator, what are they going to tell him? And you have opportunities to ensure that these things happen, such as AKK and other projects like that you can bring people together to not just for one state, like, for God's sake. You come together as a block, like you always come together in Kaduna to drink tea and then talk about things that are not realizable, like state police, and then talk about realities, talk about things that will impact your people positively in a manner that it will bring about development of the region. So National Assembly it doesn't exist in the manner the Constitution intended to exist, and this is the reason. The reason is that there's a state culture in Nigeria. We are having one party state. Can you imagine? National chairman of a party, now will come and tell the one party state is even better. Can you imagine, under a democratic setting, where multi-party system is the only thing that defines and then separate, democracy from autocracy? And look at this man telling you that autocracy is even better than democracy. How bad can you get?
Right. Okay. Thank you very much, Engineer Yabagi Sani, for your informed perspectives. Engineer Yabagi Sani is an energy and, of course, crude oil expert, and has been giving us perspective on the best way to address the lingering challenges around oil exploration, especially in northern part of the country, and what needs to be done to fast track this project for the benefit of the people, because of the multiplier effect of it has in terms of addressing poverty, insecurity, and other socio-economic challenges afflicting the region. Thank you very much for talking to us on Daily Politics. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Shafiu, for having me. Thanks a lot. Right.